Introducing the amazing, unbelievable Stanford University that changed the whole world. Over 40 billionaires can be traced back to this school, to starting here at Stanford University. People come from all over the world to come to this university. Most people don't know or understand the story and the history of Stanford University and how it came about, how it came to be. This university was actually came from a great deal of pain and suffering, unimaginable pain and suffering. So you had Leland and you had Jane Stanford, and they were extremely wealthy. Actually, Leland Stanford was one of the big fours of California. They had millions and millions of dollars. They were able to travel all over. They had homes in Sacramento. They had property. They had a huge mansion also in San Francisco. And here in this area right here, they bought something like 10,000 acres. They also had property in Southern California. So they were extremely wealthy. They were able to do a lot of wonderful things. But they wanted a son. They actually wanted a baby. But they tried and tried for years to have a child, and they just couldn't. Poor Jane, she tried and tried, she just wasn't able to have a child. Until when she was about 40 years old, she finally got pregnant. And she was so happy, a little baby boy, Leland Stanford Jr. And they were able to take him places. He was able to go to Europe. He was able to enjoy great things of life. He was able to have some of the treasures of Egypt and Europe. Actually, a lot of the treasures are over in the museum that you can actually see to this day. So he had a wonderful childhood, and it was a great time for them. They were so happy. They were able to do so many different things, having millions and millions of dollars. And so, but one thing that happened is their son, Leland Stanford Jr., actually came down with a sickness. He came down with typhoid fever, which at that time was a killer. There was a lot of people coming up with different sicknesses and diseases and so forth at that time. And it was serious. It lasted for a couple of weeks. And they just wanted to see their son get better. But what happened is he slowly started getting worse and worse. And I cannot imagine the pain of seeing their only son, their only begotten son, slowly die. It was a very long process, and it was very painful. He had this typhoid fever, and he shivered, he was freezing, and it was just really painful to watch your son slowly die. But they couldn't do a thing. They summoned all the doctors that they possibly could together, because they just wanted to see their son get better. And these doctors couldn't do a thing. They tried. They put blankets on him, and he kept shivering and just slowly dying over a period of 2 weeks. So I can't imagine that pain. They were just so heartbroken. It was devastating to them, and it took them a long time to get over it. Their grief just kept going on for like even a couple years. They were still grieving over the death of their son, and it was so painful. And there was a lot of the public that were concerned about them, and so a lot of the public actually were checking in to make sure that they were okay, that they weren't going to die, because the grief just kept going on forever and ever. They just wondered. And so Leland and Jane Stanford kept assuring them, no, we're just going through this grief. We're going to be better. And we're okay. We're going to get through this. But it took them a long time. They had funerals on the East Coast. They had funerals here in the Bay Area. They had funerals in Europe. It was a painful thing. But with Leland Stanford, it was so painful for him that it's actually known in the archives that he was in so much agony right after the death, as soon as the son died, that he just said, he actually had plans for his son. He always wanted his son to be a part of his life, of his work, of the family empire. And so with Leland Stanford, actually, right after the death of his son, he actually fell asleep. He actually went to sleep. And in his sleep, in his dream, he had a dream. I have a dream. But with Leland Stanford he had a dream. He dreamed he saw his son in the dream, And his son actually spoke to him and said, "Father, you do have a reason to live. You have a reason to live for humanity." And this had a profound impact upon him. He always said he wanted to remember the whole dream, but he woke and then he said he was so touched in his heart that he said, "I've lost my son, but now all the sons of California will be my son." And this is actually wrote on the wall inside the museum for years and years. They had it up. I took a picture of it. I'm not sure if it's there now. They did some changes over in the museum. They said they're going to make it better. The family room and so forth. It's just amazing what they've done with some of the toys from the son and so forth. So what really comforted them the most was that they were able to make a memorial. They wanted to do a dedication, something with their pain. They wanted to have a memorial of memory for their son. So what they did is they decided to do a memorial. And this is the memorial. This is Stanford University, Leland Stanford Junior University. So that's what they did. And this is it. And so we enjoy it. You know, it changed the world. So many different things have happened here at Stanford. You have a multiple mixture of from anything from computer science to medicine over here. They've actually done one of the first heart transplants over here at Stanford. And just a lot of amazing things here. And stem cell research, just too much. I could spend the whole rest of the time talking about a lot of the things here at Stanford University. But anyways, this was a comfort for them to have a memorial, to have a purpose, to have a purpose, something in life, like a mission. And we all need a mission. A lot of times our dreams or our goals, die. And we have a hard time understanding, okay, why did I not get my dream? Why did I not get my goal? And so a lot of times we don't understand that maybe good things come from the pain and suffering that we go through. And if we don't get our dream and our goal, maybe it comes in a different way, like here at Stanford. So actually, we're going through a lot of pain and suffering here in this Bay Area right now. We're in one of the worst pandemics ever that I've ever seen in my generation. COVID-19, coronavirus. It's horrendous. It's killed a lot of people. It's killed thousands of people. And now they're saying we're on a second wave. So Newsom has actually said he's going to do a lot of different shutdowns and stuff like that. He's not going to open up a lot of the bars and stuff like that originally that he had intended. But that's not the worst situation. Another thing that we're going through is a lot of social unrest and pain of a lot of burning of buildings and just people losing their jobs. Unemployment is just unbelievable high. They say that it's actually higher than the Great Depression. They say that it could be as high as 50%, which is horrible. So you have a lot of people that have lost their jobs, they've lost their dreams, they've lost their businesses. I know several guys that have said that they're not sure if their company is going to be able to survive, if they're going to be able to go back to business. So it's just a lot of pain and suffering that the people are going through right now. So a lot of people are actually learning to deal with it. And they've actually said that this month we have 1,000% increase in depression and suicide right now this month than we did last year. So we have a lot of people that are giving up on life and they're killing themselves, and also depression. So they're trying to figure out how to deal with it. And the biggest part of the problem is the lockdowns, the shelter in place. So people are not able to go out. We're not able to go out and do a lot of the things that we've been able to do for so many years. We have a lot of places that are closed. The dance places are closed. A lot of the businesses are closed. So there's a lot of adjusting to this new life. And there's a lot of talk that there's going to be some kind of a reset. And for everyone that's looking at this whole situation, you can easily see there's a lot of people that feel that something's about to happen. So what is it that is about to happen? We don't know. But we just know, most people know, that it's obvious that a lot of this stuff was planned. and that some kind of reset. When we think of reset, you just think, oh, hey, wonderful, beautiful thing, like resetting and starting your computer. But that would be great if that's all it was. We don't know. It's just kind of going into the unknown. So there's just a lot of pain and suffering. And as I said, some of the best things you can do, to survive this, because there's a lot of people that are dying from this, from the COVID. And there's some things that are lies. A lot of people are kind of wondering, okay, what's truth and what's not lies about this data and the science and so forth. And a lot of people are wondering, what is truth and what's lies. So we don't really know for sure. We just know, and I actually know people that have died. So, and I know other people that have known other people that have passed away as well. So what can we do to prepare? What can we do with our lives in order to prepare in case we were hit with something like COVID, in order to also have a better life and have our, some of our goals and have more happiness and more completeness in our life? Well, as I said many times, we can work at boosting our immune system. We can eat right, take care of ourselves. We can exercise, get the right kind of a balanced life. I cannot say enough about the importance of a balanced life. I could talk about that forever. Matter of fact, I might just talk about that a lot. The importance and the beauty of a balanced life is so important, from not just in the area of eating the right foods and getting exercise and finding an exercise that's fun, to also, eating right and getting the right balanced diet. Balance is so critical. And it's a very sensitive subject, and it's not always easy to achieve. Like, for example, let me give you an example. You might think that everything's going great. I have a wonderful life. I feel great. I feel fantastic. My life's great. And you might just be going along, just munching out and eating the kind of food that you want to eat, and just like munching out, maybe having some fast foods once in a while and stuff like that. And you actually might get to the point where your diet becomes unbalanced, and you might be missing some minerals in your diet, and you might get to a point where you might come up with a disease or something like that. So you just never know. You might come up with a serious disease. So your life might go from, hey, it's great, I don't have to worry about nothing, I feel great, to suddenly having a serious disease. It might not be as bad as typhoid fever or coronavirus, but it could be something serious. Like some of the diseases that I've heard about here at Stanford, as I've had a chance to know a lot of doctors over the years, I heard a lot of stories, and I got a chance to talk to a lot of medical doctors. And I heard a lot of different stories, and I learned a lot. And I might not mention all the names because it would take up too much of the time, but I really had the privilege to learn a lot about health and about a balanced life. Here, as you look at Stanford, you look at the campus and you say to yourself, this is a perfect layout of a balanced campus, a balanced life. So you have, right here, you have the church over here, and you have University Avenue that goes right up, that's actually Palm Drive, that goes right up to the front door of the church. And actually Palm Drive passes an area, passes the museum. And this museum, inside the museum, the Stanford family had a number of paintings about heaven and hell. They were just really into heaven and hell. I mean, you could see the paintings. If you don't like a lot of that stuff, you might not really enjoy that part of the museum, but they have some beautiful, amazing paintings about heaven and hell, about going to hell, and about heaven. And on the way, as you come up Palm Drive, also to the right, is coming up towards this front door, you also have the gates of hell. So you have, it's huge, these great big huge iron gates. It's amazing, it's beautiful. Now in the courtyard you have people anguishing in pain, and you have three guys pointing into the abyss of hell. What does this mean? What does all this stuff mean? What's the purpose? What is their intention? So you can actually see that it's saying the importance of a balanced life of faith and health, and a balanced life of mind, spirit, and health. So I've already talked a lot about things you can do to build your immune system and so forth. but I honestly can't say enough about the importance of faith. Here you have the cathedral that was built by the Stanford family, right in the middle coming up university. And you have the church at the center of the campus, and inside the church, on the church walls, different people from Obama to different people that have been able to visit here at the church, to Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey walking in here. They walk right past the words that James Stanford had written on the church walls. And those words talk about balance and talk about a life of prosperity and balance. And hey, there's nothing wrong with becoming wealthy. There's nothing wrong with having things of the world. But there's a need for balance. Because there's also another area written on the wall where it says, what good does it do if you have a life of millions? Have a life where you can have everything, but you lose your soul. So a lot of people are saying, you know what? I don't believe in that soul, that God stuff. I'm just not into that part of the balanced life of mind, soul, and spirit. I just don't believe in God. But I'm a general contractor. And the way that I see blueprints, I can imagine people not believing in God. When you have a planet going through outer space at 67,000 miles an hour, which is our planet Earth, is flying throughout outer space. And then it's turning at 1,000 miles an hour. Can you even imagine that would just all happen by mere chance? The craziness of that would be like me thinking that somehow my contracting business, as a general contractor, would somehow just be able to somehow they send me a check automatically, or my jobs get done just somehow, just by mere luck, a floor gets done or part of a wall gets built just somehow, just by an explosion. I can't imagine. That is insanity. It's actually kind of funny to me, just the thought of, if this earth is slightly a little bit off and goes a little bit too far to the side or to the sun or away from the sun, we could freeze to death, or we could burn up in just a matter of just a short time. So there you have. To me, I think that there's proof. And I also think that, like what James Stanford wrote on the church walls, I also believe that if there is a God, that if he really wanted to, he would be able to give the right blueprints to life and would be able to explain to us how to live a life of getting, like a manual. And if he really wanted to, I think that he could do that. And actually, that's the way I look at it. I look at his book is the Bible. And I really believe in the power of the Bible and the words in there. A lot of the same words that she had placed on side the walls in this cathedral is inside the Bible. And so she knew that, by placing a lot of these things on the church walls. And actually, we're talking about the pandemic. We're talking about a balanced life and about different sicknesses and stuff like that. I've said this before. I'll say this again. A while back ago, I came up with, I had a heart condition. I was actually sick myself. And I actually went to the Bible blueprints. And I believed in what was in there. And I took it. And I believed that it was possible. All that stuff in there. And I got a miracle. I actually went to, one of the meetings here with one of the doctors here. I'll just say this as my time's running out here. And he was actually saying, when he was asked about miracles and the people that get better and the people that die. And actually even he said that, I'm an atheist. He goes, this is really funny. Actually, it was James Doty. I'll say his name. So anyways, he's one of the brain surgeons here at Stanford, and does a number of speakings and wrote a book also as well, out of Magic Shop, I believe. So anyways, he said, I'm an atheist, but numbers don't lie. He says, people that have faith, people that believe, he says, I've seen them get better. So, and he went on and on about how it affects your immune system and it lengthens your telomeres. I didn't even know a lot of the stuff about telomeres and things like that. And he went on and on and on. When he got done, he actually spoke for a while and the cameras were rolling. And I said, are you willing to promote what you said? And he said, excuse me?
I said, yeah, everything you just got done saying about faith and about what it does to your immune system, and it lengthens your telomeres, and you see people get better, and you see, that for people that do have faith, for people that do pray, you've seen an unquestionable amount of numbers where those people get better. Are you willing to promote that? Are you willing to talk about that? And then he said, I'm willing to do anything that would help my patients. So, so yeah, that's a really good, valid point. So I was ill at that time, but I got better. And so I got a big, huge thing that happened in my life. So I'm really proud of it. And I think that that's one of the issues that need to be talked about, the power and the importance of faith in this pandemic that we're going through, and actually to help out a number of areas with depression and to hopefully lower down the suicidal rate and flatten this curve, and some other options other than just waiting and going by. I do believe everyone should be careful. I'm not saying that people don't need to be careful. I think everyone should be careful, but I think that there's more that you can do to protect yourself, to boost up your immune system, to build up more faith, and to have a greater chance to survive what's coming and what is to come, what I believe is to come in the future, which might be worse than what we're going through. I've said things before because of the time period here doing research at Stanford. I actually talked about some of this stuff, like the pandemic that was going to happen. And people just said, you know what, with technology and stuff like that, there's no way this stuff's going to happen. And lo and behold, here we are. So I'm predicting that something possibly bigger could happen in the future, like some kind of reset. I don't know exactly what that could be, but if it does, I honestly think that faith is going to be a great, huge benefit in helping people get through it. Other options other than just science and data and waiting to see what's going to happen. So anyway, so that's part of my story, and it's my first time that I've done a video here at Stanford, and like I said, I don't edit anything. This is it. So I'm sure I made mistakes, but I had a chance to speak from my heart, and I shared about what worked for me, and I shared about what's on the church walls, and I shared a little bit about the history, and I'm hoping that maybe it helps someone and benefit someone in the future. If nothing else, at least when I'm older, I'll be able to look back on this video and say, hey, I did something. I spoke up, and I actually did some kind of positive thing other than putting a mask on. All right. Okay, thanks. That's it.